Hi everyone, welcome to my channel and this is Santosh sir, and today in this video we'll be discussing some important questions on economics class 12. And basically these important questions are very helpful for NIOS, National Institute of Open Schooling students, CBSE and all the state boards in India. Okay, so make sure that you have subscribed to my channel and also share it to your friends, right? So let's start with the first question. And the first question is, how do economic problems arise? Why, or in other words, why we study economics, right? And basically, there are three reasons for this. First, human wants are unlimited. Our wants are unlimited. When one want is satisfied, another want crops up. So like that, it is a never-ending process. Our wants are unlimited. The second one, the resources to satisfy our wants are limited, scarce. Okay, like resources include land, air, water, the trees, all the resources that we have, that we use. So these resources are very scarce, so that's why we are not able to satisfy all our wants. And the third one is, resources have alternative uses. That means resources can be used for different purposes. For example, if you have a piece of land, you can build a factory over there, you can build your house, even you can build a warehouse. So like that, there are many purposes or many uses of one single resource. So we have to use the resources judiciously. Okay, let's move on to the second question. And the second question is, what are the central problems of an economy? Again, a very important questions. Economy here stands for the whole country. So basically, there are three problems for an economy. First, what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. So every economy that exists in this world has to answer these questions, like what to produce. Like in what to produce, we can write our answers on the basis of consumer goods or producer goods, whether in your country you will produce more of consumer goods or producer goods, that means industrial goods. Okay, so this is one problem that the economy has to decide. The second one is how to produce, whether to use labor intensive method of production or capital intensive method of production. In labor intensive, more of labor or manpower is used to produce goods and services, and in capital intensive we use more of machines. Like that, the third problem is for whom to produce. As we know, our society is divided into three classes, that is upper class, middle class and lower class. Okay, so the economy has to decide to target which class, for which class it has to produce goods and services. So in this way you can define your answer. Let's move on to the next question. What is PPC? PPC stands for Production Possibility Curve, one of the most important concept in economics. Always you will get a question from PPC. Now PPC is a graph that shows all the different combinations of goods that can be produced with the given resources and technology. So PPC is nothing, it is a graph. And this graph shows the different combinations of two or more goods, right? So this is what you can write in your definition. And let's move on to its properties. Okay, what are its basic properties? Now this again very important question. First, the PPC curve always slopes downward from left to right. Now why it slopes downward? Because to increase the production of one commodity, we have to sacrifice the other commodity. Okay, you cannot gain unless someone loses for you. So that is the principle. And the second, PPC is always concave to origin. Concave to origin. Why? Because to produce one more additional unit of commodity, again you have to sacrifice the other. Okay, this is basically it is based on marginal utility. Okay, let's move on to the next question. And the question is, what are the uses of index numbers? Now, this question is from statistics, and we use index numbers for various purposes. And basically, I have written here four uses. First, uh, economic barometer. It helps to measure the change in employment, public health, production, income, national income, like that. Okay, the first, it shows the economic strength, the economic weaknesses of a country. Then, second, it helps to compare the past performance with the present performance. Okay, and let's move on to the third use of index numbers, and that is forecasting. It helps to forecast future sales, prices, production, etc. And on the basis of this forecasting, we can fix prices of commodities and services. And lastly, it helps to make decisions. Based on economic barometer, based on comparison and forecasting, we can make final decisions regarding the goods and services. Right. Let's move on to the next question. What is correlation? Again, this concept is also from statistics. And correlation refers to the statistical relationship between two entities. It shows how two variables move in relation to one another. Right. It is just a relationship between two variables, in short. And there may be three types of correlations that we study in statistics: positive correlation, negative correlation, and zero or no correlation. Now, what is this positive correlation? Its value is +1, and that means two variables move up or down in the same direction simultaneously. Is that clear? And negative, its value is -1. That means the two variables move in the opposite direction. And in zero correlation, there is no relationship between the given two variables at all. Right. So let's move on to the next question. Question number 6. Explain the factors that affect the demand of a commodity. Again, it strikes in the exams almost every year. So it is such an important question. So, you have to prepare this question well. Now, how demand is affected? First, price of the commodity. If price of the commodity increases, the demand will fall. It's very simple, law of demand. And the prices of substitutes or related goods. Some goods are related, like petrol and car. If the prices of petrol increases, the demand for cars will decrease, and vice versa. Then income of the consumer. If the income of the consumer increases, that means the purchasing power will increase, and they will try to demand more and more of goods and services. Then next, number 4, change in the taste and preference of the consumer. If there is a change in the taste, the style, the fashion, the preference of the consumer, automatically they will change their demands. And last, expected price change. If suppose a consumer expects that in near future there is going to change, there is going to rise in the prices, so what he will do? He will consume more and more today. Okay, because he knows that in future the prices are going to rise, like that. Let's move on to the next one. What are the functions of money? Again, a very common question. And money is a matter of functions for a medium, a measure, a standard, and a store. So this sentence, it has all the four functions of money. First, a medium, a measure, a standard, and a store. So just you can learn this simple sentence, and from this sentence you can get all the four functions of money. First, money acts as a medium of exchange. Money measures the value of goods and services that we buy. And third, money acts as a standard of deferred payments. Deferred means future payments. Sometimes we buy goods and pay in future. So that is deferred payments. So without money it is not possible. And lastly, money acts as a store of value or wealth. We can store our wealth in the form of money. Right. Next, move on to the next question. Explain the instruments of fiscal policy. Again, a very important chapter from financial management. Now, fiscal policy is related to revenue, expenditure, and debt of the government. Basically, these three concepts are related to fiscal policy: revenue, expenditure, and debt. Now, there are few instruments in fiscal policy from where government prepare its budget. Okay, first, budget. Now, budget, it is an estimate of total revenue and expenditure during a particular year. And the next one is taxation. The act of levying taxes by the government is called taxation. Okay, so by dint of taxation, by levying the taxes, the government can use its instrument as a fiscal policy. Then public expenditure, spending by the government for the welfare of the people, right? So that is called public expenditure. So if the government has excess of money, it can spend on that. And then public debt. Public debt refers to the loans raised by the government from other countries or from the banks, right? So let's move on to the next question. This is the difference between revenue expenditure and capital expenditure. Now, what are revenue expenditures? These are incurred for the normal functioning of the government. To carry out or to meet the day-to-day expenses of the government, it needs revenue expenditure. And in capital expenditure, the government acquires or purchases fixed assets, right? Second, now revenue expenditures are generally, short-run expenditures, whereas capital expenditures, they are long-term expenditures. Okay. Third, revenue expenditures are of small amount, whereas capital expenditures are of huge amount. And revenue expenditures do not create any asset, whereas capital expenditure, they do create assets for the government. And in the last point, I have given few examples of revenue and capital expenditure. Like in revenue expenditure, all the payment of the government workers, their salaries, and the subsidies paid to the exporters, farmers, like that. And in capital expenditure, loans given to the states, union territories, companies, like that. Okay. Now, let's move on to the next question. The difference between explicit cost and implicit cost. Again, a very important one. Now, what are explicit costs? Money paid to various factors of production are basically called explicit costs, whereas cost of using self-owned assets are all implicit costs. And explicit costs are easily measurable, right? We can measure them, we can find the numerical value. But implicit cost, they are very difficult to measure this type of costs. And basically they are calculated on the basis of the market value. And explicit costs are recorded in the books of accounts, whereas implicit costs are not easy to be recorded in the books of accounts. And examples of explicit costs are salaries, rent, interest, whereas implicit cost, it refers to the rent of the owner's building, all the assets that are used by the proprietor or the owner of the firm for the business purpose. So that is implicit cost in simple words. Then next, what are the functions of a central bank? Now friends, central bank means RBI, Reserve Bank of India, as far as India is concerned. Now what are its functions? First, to issue currency. Now it has exclusive right to issue currency, to hold currency. So every power and rights about currency lies with the Central Bank of India. Then credit control. It controls loans given by the commercial banks to its customers. Okay, how much loan, or what is the amount of maximum loan that can be given by the commercial banks? So it is all decided by the central bank. Then it is a banker to government. That means it accepts deposits and lend loans to the government. So therefore it is called banker to government. The government keeps its deposits, or in simple words, the government has opened an account in RBI, because government cannot open its accounts in your local banks. Okay, so that's why as a chief bank, the major bank of India, the government has its account in this bank. and then banker to banks. Central bank, because all the banks that are operating in India, they have their accounts in RBI. Okay, so whenever they need funds or whenever they want to deposit their money, so they can do it with the RBI. And then lender of the last resort. That means if there is any financial problems in the economy, if there is a financial collapse, so in that case RBI can save the economy from that type of calamity. Okay, so it is a lender of last resort, right? And last, custodian of foreign exchange. It manages the foreign exchange and gold stocks for India. Okay, so these are the important functions. Let's move on to the next question. What are the factors that affect the supply of goods? We have studied about the factors that affect the demand of goods, and this is supply. Not much difference. Basically, 1-2 points are similar. First, prices of the goods. If the price will increase, the supply will increase. So, on this basis, you can expand your answer. Then, prices of substitutes. If the prices of substitute will increase, the supply of the related goods will decrease. अगर फॉर एग्जांपल फ्रेंड्स, अगर चाय पत्ती टी के प्राइसेस अगर बढ़ते हैं तो कॉफ़ी की सप्लाई बढ़ जाएगी, क्योंकि लोग ज़्यादा कॉफ़ी डिमांड करेंगे. ओके, देन प्राइसेस ऑफ फैक्टर्स ऑफ प्रोडक्शन, लैंड, लेबर, कैपिटल. तो अगर इसके प्राइसेस अगर बढ़ जाते हैं तो प्रोडक्शन कॉस्ट बढ़ जाएगा एंड उसकी फिर वो सप्लाई भी कम हो जाएगी. देन टेक्नोलॉजी एंड supply increases with use of latest technology. If the firm using एकदम modern technology use कर रही है तो it can produce more and more of goods. So अगर उसके पास में production ज़्यादा है तो वो supply भी ज़्यादा करेगी. It's very simple. Then expected price change. अगर firm को लगता है कि near future में उसके goods के prices बढ़ने वाले हैं कोई कारण से, so वो hold करके रखेगी stock and it will wait for the price rise और उसके बाद सप्लाई करेगी. So in that way you can define. Next, again a very very important question. What is indifference curve and state its properties? Very important one. In short, we can write this as IC. It represents all those combinations of two goods which give the same satisfaction to a consumer. A consumer doesn't feel any difference between the various combinations. ठीक है, तो ये इंडिफरेंस कर्व इज नथिंग बट इट्स इट्स एन इमेजिनरी कॉन्सेप्ट एक्चुअली. ये मतलब वाकई में इन रियल वर्ल्ड इट डजेंट एग्जिस्ट. ये टोटल ग्राफिकल काम है एंड यहाँ पे हम लोग अलग अलग कॉम्बिनेशंस बनाते हैं. लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल कि इंडिया के केस में मशीन एंड राइस, तो इसके एक कॉम्बिनेशन बनाते हैं कि कितना मशीन बनाना चाहिए, कितना राइस का प्रोडक्शन होना चाहिए. सो लाइक दैट. Okay, its main properties. It slopes downward. That means a consumer buys one more good by sacrificing the other. You know friends, जहाँ पे slopes downward होगा, जहाँ पे curve नीचे आएगी, तो वहाँ पे आपको लिखना है कि एक commodity दूसरी commodity में sacrifice करना है. Then again it is convex to origin. PPC concave था and this is convex. ये आपको ध्यान में रखना है. And here a consumer consumes more of a commodity, his marginal utility will go down. Okay, कभी कभी एग्जाम में आता है कि why indifference curve is convex to origin, तो आपको ये आंसर लिखना है, right? Let's move on to the next one. What is consumers equilibrium? बहुत ही कॉमन टॉपिक है इकोनॉमिक्स का and it refers to a situation where a consumer gets maximum satisfaction by consuming commodities from his given income. बहुत ही सिंपल डेफिनेशन लिखा है मैंने आप लोगों के लिए. एंड इफ मार्जिनल यूटिलिटी, MU मीन्स मार्जिनल यूटिलिटी, ग्रेटर देन प्राइस, ही गेट्स एडिशनल सेटिस्फैक्शन. एंड इफ मार्जिनल यूटिलिटी इज लेस देन प्राइस, ही गेट्स लेस सेटिस्फैक्शन. एंड इफ मार्जिनल यूटिलिटी इज इक्वल टू प्राइस, ही गेट्स मैक्सिमम सेटिस्फैक्शन. सो ये जो थर्ड केस है, दिस थर्ड केस इज ऑल अबाउट कंज्यूमर्स इक्विलिब्रियम वेयर मार्जिनल यूटिलिटी इज इक्वल टू प्राइस. मैंने यहाँ पे इसके लिए ग्राफ भी बनाया सो दैट आपका कॉन्सेप्ट क्लियर हो. आपको भी एग्जाम्स में इकोनॉमिक्स में बहुत सारे ग्राफ्स बनाने चाहिए, राइट? एंड दिस इज़ द ग्राफ ये यूटिलिटी है, वाई एक्सिस पे यूटिलिटी एंड एक्स एक्सिस पे क्वांटिटी ड्रॉ करना है. एंड दिस इज मार्जिनल यूटिलिटी कर्व जो स्लोप्स डाउनवर्ड है. एंड दिस इज द इक्विलिब्रियम प्राइस P, and this point where price and marginal utility intersect, that is called consumer's equilibrium. And at this point, price is equal to marginal utility. So this is what you have to explain in your answer, right? Next, difference between final goods and intermediate goods. देखते हैं, as the name implies, final goods, these are directly used by the consumers, and intermediate goods, they are not ready for consumption. That is like they are in the production process, that means raw materials. And final goods are finished goods, whereas intermediate goods are unfinished goods or raw materials. And final goods are included in the national income, whereas this cannot be included in national income. And examples यहाँ पे दिया हुआ है, जैसे sugar that we use in our houses is final good, whereas sugar which is used in bakery or factories, so that is intermediate goods. Let's move on to the next question. What is aggregate demand? State its components. Now, aggregate demand is the total demand for final goods and services in a country during a given period of time. It is the demand of all the consumers that are living in a country, all the consumers, including firms, government, and all the individual customers. तो उनकी सारी डिमांड को अगर हम लोग एडअप करेंगे, वी गेट aggregate demand. So it's so simple. Let's see its main components. Household, firms, government and export income. ये चारों के जितने भी डिमांड हैं, डिमांड बाय हाउस, जैसे हम लोग सारे हाउस होल्ड्स हैं, फर्म्स कंपनीज है, गवर्नमेंट है, देन एक्सपोर्ट इनकम्स. व्हेन वी एड अप ऑल दीज डिमांड्स वी गेट एग्रीगेट डिमांड. लेट्स मूव ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. द डिफरेंस बिटवीन माइक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स एंड मैक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स. माइक्रो मतलब बहुत छोटा, मैक्रो मतलब बड़ा थोड़ा सा. माइक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स, इट इज अ स्टडी ऑफ इकोनॉमिक एक्टिविटी ऑफ वन सिंगल इंडिविजुअल और अ फर्म. बट वेयर एज मैक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स, इट इज अ स्टडी ऑफ द होल इकोनॉमिक प्रॉब्लम्स. यानी पूरे कंट्री का इकोनॉमिक प्रॉब्लम जब स्टडी होता है, सो दैट कम्स अंडर मैक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स. ओके, माइक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स deals with problems of production, consumption, pricing, income, etc. Whereas macroeconomics deals with bigger problems like unemployment problem, poverty problem, national income, foreign exchange, foreign trade. So like that. ये बहुत बड़ा concept है. And microeconomics is a part of macroeconomics. That's why it is a narrow concept, it is a broad concept. Right. Let's move on to the next question. What are the फीचर्स ऑफ परफेक्टली कॉम्पिटिटिव मार्केट एंड मोनोपोली मार्केट? दोनों का ही मैंने यहाँ पे लिखा है, दोनों में से एक एग्जाम में आपको मिलने वाला है, तो इसको ध्यान में रखिए. इन परफेक्टली कॉम्पिटिटिव मार्केट देयर आर लार्ज नंबर ऑफ बायर्स एंड सेलर्स, राइट? एंड द सेलर्स सेल होमोजीनियस प्रोडक्ट, मतलब सारे सेलर्स के पास में एक जैसे ही प्रोडक्ट होते हैं. जैसे कि सब्जी मार्केट, वेजिटेबल मार्केट, वहाँ पे ऑलमोस्ट सारी सब्जी यूनिफॉर्म, सेम, होमोजीनियस. एंड फ्री एंट्री एंड एग्जिट, दैट मीन्स कोई भी सेलर आ सकता है और कोई भी सेलर इस मार्केट को छोड़ के जा सकता है. तो फ्री एंट्री, फ्री एग्जिट. देन सेलर्स आर प्राइस टेकर्स एंड नॉट मेकर्स. यहाँ पे सेलर्स अपनी मर्जी से प्राइस फिक्स नहीं कर सकते. गुड्स की प्राइसेस मार्केट में डिसाइड होती है. देन buyers and sellers have perfect knowledge about the product and sellers have almost uniform prices. कोई बहुत ही कम डेविएशन होता है प्राइसेस में. बाकी ऑल द सेलर्स जितने भी शॉपकीपर्स हैं उनके सबके एक जैसे ही प्राइस होते हैं. एंड मोनोपोली मार्केट जस्ट इसका उल्टा, ऑपोजिट. हियर लार्ज नंबर ऑफ बायर्स बट ओनली वन और वेरी वेरी फ्यू सेलर्स. एंड द सेलर्स डिसाइड द क्वालिटी ऑफ द प्रोडक्ट. New firms cannot enter, right? And the sellers is the price maker. सेलर की जैसी मर्जी होगी वैसे प्राइस सेट करेगा. ओके, द मार्केट विल नॉट डिसाइड द प्राइस, द सेलर विल फिक्स द प्राइस. एंड बायर्स हैव टू फेस प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेशन. प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेशन, अलग अलग बायर्स के लिए अलग अलग प्राइसेस चार्ज कर सकता है ये सेलर. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे डिस्क्रिमिनेशन, अ टाइप ऑफ प्राइस डिस्क्रिमिनेशन होता है बायर्स के साथ. and prices are fixed by the sellers, right? Let's move on to the next question, and this is on break even point, BEP. Now what is this? Now it is a point where a firms incur neither loss nor profit. That means a firm earns normal profit, and this is the condition where total cost is equal to total revenue. That means on this condition there is BEP, break even point, where a firm neither makes profit nor gains. So I have explained this with the help of a graphical diagram, and as you can see here, on the y-axis you have to plot price, and on the x-axis quantity, and these are the two curves. This curve is total revenue curve, and again this curve is total cost curve. Okay, and both the curves meet at this point, and this point is called BEP, break even point. And you know the area, this triangle type of area, this is the profit area, and on the left hand side this is loss area. दैट मीन्स अगर फर्म अगर यहाँ से अगर अपनी प्राइस इस पॉइंट से अगर नीचे अगर अपना कमोडिटी को बेचती है तो उसको लॉस होने वाला है, और इस पॉइंट से ऊपर अगर प्राइस अगर फिक्स करती है या बिक्री होता है उसका माल, तो इट कैन अर्न प्रॉफिट. सो दिस इज BEP, वेरी सिंपल. एंड देन explain the relationship between TP, AP, MP. TP means total product, AP means average product, MP means marginal product. Very, very important concept. And I have explained this with a schedule. यहाँ पे एक टेबल बनाया मैंने, यूनिट्स हैं TP, AP, MP. तो इसके ऊपर न्यूमेरिकल्स भी आते हैं एग्जाम्स में, तो आपको बहुत ही अच्छे से इसको समझना है. जैसे मैंने यहाँ पे यूनिट्स डाल दिया, जैसे फर्स्ट यूनिट जब आप मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कर रहे हो, प्रोड्यूस कर रहे हो, तो टोटल प्रोडक्ट 50 हो रहा है. सेकेंड यूनिट में 90, 3 में 120, अगर 4 यूनिट्स बना रहे हैं तो 140, 5 यूनिट बना रहे हैं तो 150, लाइक दैट. तो एज यू कैन सी हियर कि टोटल प्रोडक्ट धीरे धीरे राइज कर रहा है. ठीक है, तो एवरेज प्रोडक्ट कैसे निकालेंगे? एवरेज प्रोडक्ट क्या करेंगे, टोटल प्रोडक्ट को यूनिट से डिवाइड करना है, जस्ट डिवाइड. लाइक 50 डिवाइडेड बाई 1 इज 50, 90 divided by 2 is 45, 120 divided by 3 is 40, and like that. So average product, as the name implies, average, that means total को unit से divide करना है. So you will get this figure. And what about this MP, marginal product? Again, marginal product is also related to total product, right? Please pay attention to this because you know TP से MP निकलता है, MP से TP मिलता है. Okay, तो दोनों ही बहुत क्लोजली रिलेटेड हैं. एंड जैसे यहाँ पे टीपी में फर्स्ट यूनिट में 50 है रुपी प्रोडक्शन, देन यहाँ पे भी 50 होगा. यहाँ पे फर्स्ट यूनिट में जो होगा एमपी में, टीपी एमपी ऑन द फर्स्ट यूनिट दे आर ऑलवेज सेम. सेकेंड यूनिट में देखिए फ्रेंड्स, यहाँ पे 90 है लेकिन एमपी 40 है. अब ये 40 कहाँ से आया? 90 माइनस 50, दैट मीन्स यू नो आपको नेक्स्ट वाले नंबर से, दैट मीन्स सक्सीडिंग नंबर से प्रीवियस नंबर को माइनस करना है. 90 माइनस 50, 40, लाइक दैट. 120 माइनस 90 यू गेट 30. ओके, 140 माइनस 120 यू गेट 20. तो लाइक दैट आपको प्रीसीडिंग से प्रीवियस को माइनस करके एमपी निकालना है. सो लाइक दैट कुछ एक की सेंटेंसेस मैंने यहाँ पे लिखे हुए हैं इन तीनों के रिलेशंस के लिए. Now it is clear from the table that TP increases with production and average product decreases with production, and marginal product decreases with production and becomes negative. यहाँ पे देखिए MP लास्ट में नेगेटिव हो गया, that means 140 minus 150, तो you get minus 10. तो ओनली मार्जिनल प्रोडक्ट ही एक ऐसा कॉन्सेप्ट है जो नेगेटिव हो सकता है. ओके, एवरेज प्रोडक्ट, टोटल प्रोडक्ट, ये कभी भी यू नो नेगेटिव नहीं हो सकते. नाउ यही सेम रिलेशन को मैंने यहाँ पे एक ग्राफ बनाया हुआ है फ्रेंड्स. यहाँ पे मैंने तीनों कर्व्स को प्लॉट किया है. दिस इज एक्स एक्सिस इनपुट, वाई एक्सिस आउटपुट, एंड दिस आर द 3 कर्व्स. इनकी स्लोप्स आपको याद रखनी है. सबसे ऊपर टीपी, टोटल प्रोडक्ट, एंड देन एवरेज प्रोडक्ट. ठीक है, इसके स्लोप्स ध्यान में रखने की कौन सी कर्व कहाँ पे किसको इंटरसेक्ट कर रही है. एंड दिस इज मार्जिनल प्रोडक्ट. मार्जिनल प्रोडक्ट फर्स्ट राइजेस विथ टीपी एंड देन स्टार्ट्स डिक्रीजिंग, और ये लाइन के नीचे आती है, नेगेटिव हो गई. ओके, राइट. लेट्स मूव ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट कॉन्सेप्ट. What were the difficulties in the barter system? As we know, barter system का मतलब होता है exchange of goods with goods. ठीक है, कोई एक जमाने में था when there was no invention of money, so that time people used to trade in barter system. Now, what were the difficulties? First, double coincidence. That means both the persons should want each other's commodity. ठीक है, अगर आपको राइस बेचना है तो सामने वाले की डिमांड होनी चाहिए राइस की, तभी आप राइस बेच पाओगे. एंड अगेन सामने वाले क्या ऑफर कर रहे हैं तो वो आपको चाहिए, तभी मतलब ट्रांजैक्शन कंप्लीट होगा. तो ये एक प्रॉब्लम है. देन लैक ऑफ डिविजिबिलिटी. दैट मीन्स सम गुड्स आर नॉट डिविजिबल. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इफ यू वॉन्ट टू सेल योर काउ, तो गाय को कैसे काट सकते हैं? सो दैट्स अ प्रॉब्लम. देन लैक ऑफ मेजर ऑफ वैल्यू. It is difficult, like how much amount of wheat is to be exchanged for which quantity of milk. कितना राइस से कितना मिल्क को एक्सचेंज करना है, तो दैट इज कॉल्ड मेजर वैल्यू. तो दैट इज ऑल्सो वन ऑफ द प्रॉब्लम एग्जिस्ट विद बार्टर सिस्टम. देन लैक ऑफ स्टोरेज. नाउ वी कैनॉट स्टोर गुड्स इन द फॉर्म ऑफ वेल्थ. ठीक है, जो स्पेशली ग्रेन्स, उसको ज़्यादा टाइम तक हम रखेंगे तो स्पॉइल हो जाएंगे. So that was one of the problem. Next question is, why does demand curve slopes downward? ये भी बहुत बार एग्जाम में आता है. यहाँ पे इसके 4 रीजंस दिए हुए हैं. फर्स्ट, प्राइस इफेक्ट. When price falls, it attracts more buyers. Okay, so due to this, the demand curve slope downward. Then substitution effect. Again, when the prices of substitute goods or related goods fall, the consumers substitute to the other goods. So that is why the demand curve slopes downward. Then income effect. When the price of goods falls, it will increase the purchasing power of the consumers, and that makes him demand more. And lastly, law of marginal utility. Law of marginal utility. Now, every additional unit consumed gives less and less satisfaction. So that is called law of diminishing marginal utility. तो ये भी एक कॉन्सेप्ट है, बहुत ही बड़ा कॉन्सेप्ट है, लॉ है, तो इसकी वजह से भी होता है. राइट, तो आगे चलते हैं फ्रेंड्स. एंड द क्वेश्चन इज, स्टेट द रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन एमपीसी एंड एमपीएस. एमपीसी मीन्स मार्जिनल प्रोपेंसिटी टू कंज्यूम एंड एमपीएस मीन्स मार्जिनल प्रोपेंसिटी टू सेव. सबसे पहले इनके डेफिनेशन देखते हैं. दिस इज एमपीसी. नाउ इट इज़ अ रेशियो बिटवीन द चेंज इन कंजप्शन टू चेंज इन इनकम. मैंने यहाँ पे इसका मैथमेटिकल एक्सप्रेशन लिखा हुआ है एमपीसी का. चेंज इन कंजप्शन बाय चेंज इन इनकम. सी फॉर कंजप्शन, वाई फॉर इनकम. दिस इज, ये ट्रायंगल शेप जो है, दिस इज कॉल्ड डेल्टा. सो डेल्टा सी बाय डेल्टा वाई. इसके ऊपर न्यूमेरिकल्स करेंगे हम लोग नेक्स्ट वीडियो में. एंड marginal propensity to save, MPS, again it is a ratio between savings and income. यहाँ पे consumption और income था, यहाँ पे savings और income है. That's the only difference. And always remember friends, MPC plus MPS is always equal to 1. Right. Next question, explain the objectives of budgetary policy. Government जो budget बनाती है उसके main object क्या होते हैं? First, to allocate resources properly to maximize social welfare. ये तो बहुत easy है. To reduce social inequality, to reduce regional inequality, to provide maximum employment opportunities to the people, and lastly to maintain balance between public and private sectors in India. So basically these are the objectives of a fine budgetary policy. Next question is the difference between real flow and money flow. नेशनल इनकम से है ये चैप्टर. एंड रियल फ्लो, रियल इन इकोनॉमिक्स, रियल का मतलब होता है गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज, और मनी तो आप जानते हैं. नाउ रियल फ्लो, व्हाट इज दिस? इट इज द फ्लो ऑफ गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज बिटवीन द फर्म्स एंड हाउस होल्ड्स. वेयर एज मनी फ्लो, it is a flow of money between the firms and households. It involves exchange of goods and services, whereas it involves exchange of money. And the real flow here, the household provides services and firms provide goods. ठीक है, क्योंकि फर्म में जो लोग काम करते हैं, हमारे जैसे ही लोग काम करते हैं, दैट मीन्स हाउस होल्ड काम करते हैं फर्म में, तो उनको वहाँ से वेजेस मिलता है, सैलरी मिलता है, और उसी वेजेस और सैलरी से फिर अगेन दे बाय गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज प्रोड्यूस्ड बाय दिस फर्म्स. So like this, so it is just a circular flow of income. कंपनी हमें पैसा देती है, सैलरी देती है, फिर अगेन हम लोग सैलरी को खर्चा करके कंपनी को वापस दे देते हैं, ठीक है। सो पूरी दुनिया गोल है फ्रेंड्स। देन द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन, explain the law of variable proportions. Again, a very, very important law, very important concept. Now, according to this law, if a firm increases variable factors, total product increases at an increasing rate up to a point, and after that, it increases at a diminishing rate. So, these are the, this is the basic definition of law of variable proportion. And this law shows us the relationship between fixed factors and variable factors. Variable factors are those factors which change with production. For example, raw materials. जितना ज़्यादा प्रोडक्शन करेंगे उतना ज़्यादा रॉ मटेरियल्स की आपको ज़रूरत रहेगी, ओके। तो ये इसके मेनली 3 स्टेज होते हैं, फर्स्ट स्टेज, सेकेंड स्टेज, थर्ड स्टेज। देखते हैं इसको किस तरीके से मैंने एक्सप्लेन किया है। नाउ दिस टेबल, यहाँ से आपको पूरा क्लियर हो जाएगा कॉन्सेप्ट। जैसे यहाँ पे मैंने यूनिट्स लिखा है 1 से लेके 6 तक, एंड टोटल प्रोडक्ट यहाँ पे 3, 7, 12, 16, 19, 17। जैसे जैसे आपका प्रोडक्शन बढ़ेगा, टोटल प्रोडक्ट भी धीरे धीरे बढ़ेगा। एंड मार्जिनल प्रोडक्ट, जस्ट नाउ आई टोल्ड यू, माइनस करके आपको लाना है। जैसे फर्स्ट 3 है तो 3, देन 7 - 3 4, 12 - 7 इज 5, लाइक दैट आपको माइनस करके एमपी निकालना है, ओके। नाउ अगर यहाँ से आपको क्लोजली देखेंगे फ्रेंड्स, तो यहाँ पे जैसे यहाँ पे मार्जिनल प्रोडक्ट है, तो ये धीरे धीरे पहले 3, 4, 5, उसके बाद में 4, 3, -2, मतलब पहले 3 जो यूनिट्स हैं वहाँ पे ये धीरे धीरे राइज किया, एंड उसके बाद में ये फॉल करना शुरू किया। सो दिस इज व्हाट यू हैव टू एक्सप्लेन। फर्स्ट स्टेज में द टीपी राइजेस, इंक्रीज करता है एट एन इंक्रीजिंग रेट। सेकेंड स्टेज में इट इंक्रीजेस बट एट ए डिमिनिशिंग रेट, एंड थर्ड स्टेज में इट बिकम्स नेगेटिव। सो दिस इज व्हाट यू हैव टू एक्सप्लेन। इसका हम ग्राफ भी बना सकते हैं, दैट इज द मस्ट, एंड दिस इज द ग्राफ। अगेन एक्स एक्सिस पे इनपुट एंड वाई एक्सिस पे आउटपुट, एंड दिस आर द 3 स्टेजेस, एंड दिस इज टीपी, एपी, एमपी। ये ग्राफ ऑलरेडी हम लोग डिस्कशन कर चुके हैं, ये आपको बनाना है। एंड इसके मेन एजम्पशंस देख लेते हैं। टेक्नोलॉजी रिमेन्स अनचेंज्ड एंड सम फैक्टर्स आर फिक्स्ड वेयर एज अदर्स आर वेरिएबल, एंड रेशियो ऑफ प्रोपोर्शन ऑफ द फैक्टर्स कैन बी चेंज्ड। सो ये एजम्पशंस को आपको लिखना है। सो फ्रेंड्स, दैट्स ऑल इन दिस वीडियो, एंड आई होप इट विल हेल्प यू इन द एग्जाम्स। And please, if you like the video, if this video is useful to you, please give a like, and please subscribe my channel, and also ask your friends to subscribe too, okay. So with that note, let's end this video and see you in the next video with another subject. Thank you for watching.